So guys who are joining, we'll start in 1 minute as participants are joining inside the classroom right now. And for those of you watching from different social media platforms, you can enjoy the lesson, but you cannot interact with the mentor during the class. But we'll pass on your questions to the mentor at the end of the session. So here we are once again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone joining from different parts of the world. And once again, hello, Grandmaster Davor. How are you?
Hello, hi, greetings to everyone who is coming. I'm okay, and I hope it will be our third lessons will be good.
Third lessons for many more to come, I guess. And now, so for those of you joining for the first time, Grandmaster Davor, he writes Grandmaster in his name, so I guess the introduction is enough. He's a chess grandmaster with playing experience for almost 40 years, and he's a computer scientist as well, and he has done a lot of things, as you can see in the screen. So we are very grateful for him to be the mentor on our platform and guiding you guys to become better chess player. And once again, endgame skill is very important if you want to become professional chess player. So try to focus on class when the class is going on. Try to answer questions asked by him, and try to observe what's going on, because these are once in a life opportunity that you guys are getting. Do's and don'ts: use chat box for answering, use Q&A box to ask any question. We'll obviously take Q&A at the end of the lesson. Avoid spamming the chat box. Do not keep repeating the questions again and again. And just in case if you are wondering if another website is you don't see the login option right now, we are adding the functionality and it will be up and running in coming weeks shortly. So you'll be able to enjoy all the courses as before. So don't worry about it. And yeah, do not raise hand in the class. Just interact through chat box when the chess class is going on. At the end of the session, when the Q&A is happening, we will be taking some questions and asking you guys, so you guys can actually enjoy. A March calendar will be up in say 48 hours, so you'll be able to know when the next camps are happening. So don't worry about it as well. Stay safe, keep smiling, enjoy the lesson. So over to you, coach.
Yes,
the class is all yours now.
Yes. Okay, so I can start to sharing screen. Yes.
Yeah.
And okay, so hello one more time to everyone, and I hope today you will enjoy in our theme, which is the complex endgame, and we will speak about the power of the queen against the rook plus pieces. So mainly I mean rook and the bishop, or rook and the knight against the queen. Basically, everybody of us knows that the queen is a 9 units value piece. And by the way, rook is a 5. And knight and the bishop, according to the modern investigation, knight and the bishop a little more than 3. The knight is a 3.3 value pawns value, and the bishop is a 3.4 pawns value. So it's a quite interesting fight when the queen is fighting against the, let's say, rook and the bishop, and usually with the pawn. And then this type of endgame is many times is very actually challenging for both sides. I must add, just to know you, because it's very interesting that the value of the king in the endgame is approximately 4. Maybe this is for some of yours is interesting new information, but as you know, always use your king in the endgames, because king is even more powerful than the knights or the bishop. The endgame, the value of the king is 4 units or 4 pawns. Okay, so basically, before we start, everybody of us like the queens, everybody, because the queens is the most mobile pieces. She can deliver the mate, and also one of the best ability of the queen is the double attack. You know, everybody of us use when opponent's pieces is unprotected, then we just put the queen somewhere in the middle and attack with the left or on diagonal long. So queen has this ability to attack, let's say, the rook on a4 and the bishop or the knight on h7. Queen just go to e4 and attack both of them or different. Everybody likes queen, but I must tell you, when the situation is consolidated, when the pieces are coordinated, then the queen, and when there is no unprotected pieces on the board, then the power of the queen is quite reduced. And you will see that sometimes pawn, bishop, pawn, rook, bishop, and the pawn, if they are well coordinated, is even better than the queen. But okay, let's see firstly about the queen against the rook and the knight. Usually, rook and the knight are weaker tandem than the bishop and the rook. I hope it's clear. I hope you hear me, and maybe in chat box you can put some information, because I think it's interesting novelty. Yes, okay, thanks. The king power is 4 units. I don't know, do you know it? But keep in mind this, king is a 4 units value. So, okay, first game, what I like to show you is the game from Anatoly Karpov as a white against the Hort as a black. I will go quite quickly, rather quickly through the games till the ending position. They played a Pirtz white line, and Karpov as a white not pretend for some big advantage, opening advantage. He occupied the center, transfer, then try to play in the center and the queen side. But Hort resolved the problems actually soon in this type of position. We can say that the position is stabilized, and approximately the position is equal now. But okay, of course the fight is going. And as I said, the position is rather equal. And as usual, it happens in the Zeitnot. Let's say now in the Zeitnot the game was decided. Now we basically see that this is not so good move for the Hort, so he didn't play it. But basically he played the knight to f5. That allows Karpov to takes. And yes, but then let's say after bishop g4, he played knight d4, and now it looks quite good position for black, but with small problem for him that the king side is not so well defended. So Karpov play h4, and now black defend the g6 pawn, and finally go with the rook to b8, which maybe it's not something the best, but okay, never mind. This is not our, as I said, this is not our main topic for today. Also, this is a doubtless decision, but okay, he played knight f5 and attack the queen, and after rook d1, rook d8, pardon, please. Okay, by just trying to go with the rook on the third rank, maybe he has the plan to go to the third rank, maybe, or to attack the f7, d7, a5, and in the Zeitnot now I must warning you that in Zeitnot we play so terrible moves. Look at this. Here the position of black is not so bad. not so bad at all, but he make one terrible blunder. Look at this. Like, even the grandmasters make it. And do you see why this move is a mistake? Let's say queen d3. Actually, queen d3 is the mistake from black side. Actually, this is a blunder in 38 move, 2 moves before time control. Do you see why this move is not so good? Actually, why this move is a mistake? Exactly, rook d1, yes. Bravo. Bravo. So rook d1, and now this simply moves leads to unfavored endgame. And now here we are. Black has a rook and the knight against the queen. But what do you think? Which position is preferable here, white or black? Okay, white, 1, 1, 2, white, 1, black. Okay, white king is safe, white. So, okay, I can say yes. Also, the white king is safe. I can say yes, white is, I'm agree with you, white is preferable. And can you see what is the weak point in black camp? What is the possible attacker point in? Yes, but black is on the move now. c5, yes, e6, a7, okay. But by the way, all of them are weak. But the most important one is on the opposite side of the board. Look at this. And this is the problem for black. The problem for black is that he cannot protect very well the pawn on a7. Maybe you will ask how it's far and so, but you will see now. Black is on the move, and the pawn on a7 with the pawn on a5. This is the main problem for black, because his knight is so far from the queen side, and black cannot coordinate his forces to have the defense of the a7. But let's see the position. What happened? Black played rook d4, logical move, attacking the queen, attack the pawn on c4. And here white don't play the check what everybody of us will play. Also, he don't play queen f3 immediately. He didn't play it basically because he don't want to allow any contraplay to black with c pawn. He play one white move, queen c1, exactly. Queen c1, for the moment, he protect the c4 pawn. And now challenging the black, how black can play. Yes, I agree that queen f3 was an interesting possibility here, that after queen f3 and let's say rook b7, queen a5 is it, but then also let's say white must calculate that even the take and c4, he must calculate that even the contraplay by black pawn is, well, yeah, I know the g4 and it's quite interesting, but okay, maybe after rook a4, and maybe rook a4 is too early. Okay, maybe king f7 firstly, and then after rook takes, queen takes, pardon please, then something like this is coming. White is better, but it's still a problem. Yes, g4 and then knight d4. It's should be winning for white also. I agree, but the c5 pawn is maybe can be annoying in some lines, maybe. And Karpov trademark was that he don't allow any possible contraplay to his opponent. He played queen c1 firstly. And look at this, how it's difficult for black when you don't have a contraplay. Right now, if black don't do nothing, White has some idea. Let's say he can play the queen c3, queen b3, queen b5, and go here to take the pawn. The duration is 1 hour. Yes, but the knight on d7 cannot completely save the king, cannot completely save the black, because then queen comes to c8 and attack the rook, and then also the c5 pawn is in the problem. Look at this. If queen is on c8, then attacking the rook on d7 and also the pawn on c5. Okay, let's go with the next move. Black play h5 here. Karpov give a check. And of course, he don't take the pawn on h5, but he just improved the position of his queen. Look at this. He grabbed the possibility to improve the position of his queen to attack the e6. And look at that. So he completely pacifized the king, the knight. Knight go to g7, because this is the only way to protect the e6 pawn. There is no any other ways. And right now, when the knight is pacifized and pushed on the passive position, now white going. What can you suggest now for white? Bravo, Khan. Then see. Now queen b1 is even stronger. Queen b1 is even stronger. Look at this. This is the mobility of the queen. Please look at this. The a7 is the weak, and queen has this mobility. That yes, exactly. The queen in just the 2 moves after queen b1, in 2 moves, queen can attack from the g6 from one side of the board. In 2 tempo, queen can go to another, yes, to another part of the board, to queen b8. Correct. That's correct. This is a nice move. And white, after some action on king side, now he can start attack the pawn on a7. Okay, black decided to give a 1 check and then, of course, collect the pawn. But after queen b8, he lost the pawn. And look, this is when the queen is the most powerful. When the opponent has a knight on the different side of the board, then the poor rook simply cannot play against the best pawn and the strong queen. So now the position for the black is quite difficult. He tried the check and c4. Absolutely, I'm agree with Chandra that the black pieces are uncoordinated. Yes, that's the big problem. If the knight on d5, look at this. If the knight on d5 with a good outpost, then it's a completely different story. But knight is not on d5, and we can just say to good play for white that he pushed the knight on g7. And but now also after the c5, look at the position after c. How to proceed now? Because black has some contraplay. Yes, you suggest queen e3 with tempo, but then after queen e3 he will play. Yes, I'm agree with you, but then the rook go to a1. You know, after queen e3, yes, I'm agree. Queen e3, rook. Let's say rook a1, and you suggest queen c3, but let's say rook stop the queen. Now look at this. Now you put the queen into the defense position, and this is not something very nicely for queen. She's not like to be in such a defensible position. Still white is better, but here it's a one good technical move for white. Do you see maybe to not allow rook to go to a1, and by the way, to stop the pawn to run, and to prepare to push your pawns, to push the a6 pawn. Bravo, Khan. That's the queen d4. Bravo. Blemish, yes. The queen to d4. That's the move. Bravo. Queen to d4. You stop. Queen control the a1. Look at this. By the way, first, queen threat, queen f4, double attack. And this is the queen's best value, the double attack. Look at this. In one move, queen threat, check, and attack on the rook. And by the way, second course is, so that means after c3, obvious. The c3 leads to check. And secondly, there is no rook a1 because queen covered the square on a1. And look at this. You don't need even sometimes to attack the black, but with some white move, you can prevent any activity of the black. Knight f5 is the suggestion. Well, this is a tempo, but after knight f5, then we see another powerful play by queen. Do you see when the queen goes now? Very powerful, actually, to support exactly, bruh. Yes, exactly. Queen b2, queen b2, queen b2, because you don't allow, you attack the rook, don't allow rook a1, push the rook somewhere, and now it's very logical and very clear way with a6, and pawn is unstoppable to the queen. Simply pawn is winning. So after such a strong move like a queen d4, look at this. The white threatening also the rook b. He want to play queen b2, and black decided here to play. Okay, the c3 is not possible because queen f4 is coming. Black decided to play rook c2 to avoid rook f4, queen f4, and also to allow his rook mobility to a2. And do you see now how white can improve the position? Because after a6, maybe a6 now is not so good because he can play knight f5 or something like this. Do you have some suggestion now for white how to improve his position and actually how to force his pawn to forward? Bravo, ct, it's a good, yes, queen a1 is a good, bravo to everyone. Queen a1 is, look at this. This is a famous mobility of the queen. Look at this, and queen now greatly supports his pawn to rush to the queen. Look at this, please, from queen a7, that's the famous queen mobility. No pieces on the board have such a great mobility. Go to d4, make double attack. And when he played, then go to the corner and have such an active approach that active support the pawn. So, and now basically the game is over. But look at this, till the end, you must be precise. Look at how Karpov played precisely. Let go with his knight, and he hoped, and he said, okay, I will give up the knight. He decided to give up the knight here. But can you now find a move which finish off? Yes, bravo. Queen a5, bravo to everyone. You are very good today. Queen f5, and look at this one more time. Queen attacking the knight and the rook. This is as I said, this is a famous queen effect that she can easily double attack. Yes, somebody asked why he cannot play the knight a8. But the answer is quite simple, because then the queen go to d1, and again we see the full power of the queen. Because the attack the rook, and by the way, thread the queen f3 and take the knight, and the knight is lost. And also, even on the rook c3, queen can go here, take the knight, and promote the pawn. So that's my answer to b-mesh. So after the rook d2, we said queen a5 and queen d7. And even now, can you play the technical move here? To not the queen c7 is not so good. No, queen c7, rook c7, because then it's you will look at this here. The queen c7 is not such a great move because you promote the queen and you are better. But look at this, you have some problems with c3 pawns, and black has some contraplay. Not so that's not the easiest way. Okay, even the queen a4. Somebody Sirisha Harikumar suggests queen a4. I host yes, and can also suggest yes, queen a4. Great, guys. Double attack, queen a4, and again look at this. Again we see the great, let's say, the great mobility of the queen. She can attack the pawn, and on the same time she can attack the rook, because the knight is already lost. And let's say after rook d8 takes, now black, but look at this poor knight. And final move in the position, maybe, can you see here? Okay, somebody asked queen b5, queen b8. Yes, that's the possible way. I'm agree, queen b. Okay, yes, there's a possible way. I'm agree that queen b5 was also possible move with queen b8, but then he will play rook b. He can stay, let's say, for the moment with, and there is not clear progress. Yes, f3, but here it's even after knight a8, white can play the most precise move, and all is over immediately. Queen h4, okay, well, also possible rook h8 is then. But no, queen c6, no. Look at this, you must coordinate always your pieces. So even the pawns sometimes is good to coordinate. And a little bit more. Yes, that's it. CT f4 with idea f5. Yes, that's the reason. F4 is the exclamation mark, and with f5 and all is over. Great. And now finally we saw that black resigned. So look at this mobility of the, just one more time after the we saw this terrible blunder by, this is a terrible blunder by black. Then we saw the endgame, and look at this, the mobility of the queen, how the queen is so mobile. And this is a very nice maneuver. Look at this, how very nicely white pushed the black to passivize his knight to g7. Must passivize the knight to g7, and then queen, look at this. This is the famous ability of the queen to attack the weak point in the black camp. And the weakest is a7 and c5, and black simply cannot protect all of them after check. And now we see again the mobility of the queen. And this is the main properties of the queens, that she's so mobile. And in one move, look at this, queen d4, she attacking, queen f4 threatening, stop the queen a1, and just need, look at this, queen just need a one pass pawn, and then it's all is over. By the way, knight on g7 is also the reason why black lost the game. If the knight is on d5, then it will be completely different story. So after rook c2, queen a1, and pawn go forward. And look at this. Try to remember that even when you are winning, you should try to find the best. Don't promote here. Still, you can make easier your win with, let's say, in such a way to eliminate his only pass pawn. And now when everything is paralyzed, then play, for example, f5, f4 with f5, and all is over. Okay, I hope it's clear that's why the queen is better. But let's now shift to the position when let's shift and see when the bishop and rook coordinate well, and they are better than queen in the stable position. Next game is in the World Championship match between the Petr Leko from Hungary and Vladimir Kramnik as a black. The first game of this match from 2004, and it was Leko was white, And he starts with his e4 move, and Kramnik, as a black, play e5, and they go to Petrov defense. Very solid opening for black. Okay, they play the opening according to theory. Okay, and just a moment, please. Okay, and c4, knight b4, bishop e2. This is the main theoretical line. It's okay. And all of this is a theory, more or less. Oh, I'm sorry. Take. So it was this, knight takes, bishop takes, rook e1, rook e8, pawn takes, queen takes. Why developed? And this is a positional line, but also quite very well known. And he prepared bishop e3, and here the Kramnik goes for knight a5, and this was a new move, because everybody was surprised what Kramnik think after c4, because c4 was tempting. Look at this, c4. But Kramnik prepared the queen sacrifice. Even here he prepared it, but look at how deep was analyzed Kramnik with black. He prepared take, and okay, on knight d2, of course he saw it during his preparation. And now the question was what to do after bishop g5. Look at this. Looks like white give up one pawn, and now it looks not so good. Yes, and you are right. Black must give up the queen, but look at this. Black give up the queen, but in other hand, black has a pawn and rook and the bishop. So this, and what is the most important here? Look at here. The most important thing is the coordination of all black pieces. Look for the moment. All the rooks are connected, and bishop also, it's a tempo. Yes, queen a5, that was in the game too. But he played bishop f6. And isolated pawn on d4 is a quite weak, yes. So after queen a7, okay, rook d1 is possible way, but then b6 and rook d8 is coming. And also it's in white played, no, black is on the move after queen a7. Black is on the move, he played c5. Look at this. And white takes, but black takes too. Look at this position. The material, the number of pawns are equal. But and position, according to the computer, and strictly analytically speaking, position is equal. But from practical point of view, such a position is much more easier to play. It's much more easier to play with black. Not now, but look at this. After a few moves, Leko was a very good. He protected his second rank. Nothing bad. But the problem is the c pawn. Look at this. C pawn start to make the problem for him. And white offered the trading rook. Important moment. Of course, black cannot trade the rooks because it's a mate in one on the c8. So he played. And look at this. Please look how the all pieces are connected. Look at this. Everybody protect everyone. There is no unprotected pieces in black camp. No one. And that's the most important. The Hort in previous game, we saw that this wasn't situation when all pieces are coordinated and well protected. And of course, yeah, it's a main unit is a pawn on c3. Look at this. This is a great and powerful pawn from white for black button. He is not far from promotion. And now white faced the problem of blocking. Actually, he must block him. He go with queen e4. in the block. He want to block the pawn. A6, but even stronger. Even stronger is to stop the A pawn. Look at this, how white played. The black played fantastically this game. Look at this. He played bishop B6. Bishop B6. With the idea maybe rook D8 or H6 first. Yes. Now it's not so easy. The position still is equal, but not easy to play for white. White play Queen C2 here. And black make escape for the king. Look at this. Positionally, there is no direct way. This is a simple positional play. He played Queen B3. Why Bishop B6? The answer is that the Bishop B6 playing to stop the A pawn, to not allow any contraplay to A pawn. And also to allow his rook, after, look at this, the rook has idea to go to D2, maybe, when the king is have the Luft, and to allow to unblock the C2, to push the C2. That's the problem for the white. How to stop now? After Bishop B6, he tried with Queen C2 and to attack the white want to start to attack the F7 and B6. But black is ready for this. Look at this. Black play a rook to D6. And this powerful pawn, this pawn on C3 is so powerful. Look at this. C3 pawn is so powerful. White play rook C2. But black, look how nicely black is coordinated. He played Bishop A5. Stop the pawn. And by the way, black tried to play rook D2 here. Rook D2, rook takes, and then again the rook D2, and it's a drawish, I agree. It's quite drawish. Black is not winning by force, but look at this, rook D2. But black has idea. He just go to unblock the C2. Look at this. Just want to trade on C2, play rook D2, and play C2. Let's say here we can see the fantastic coordination of black pieces and the power of C3 pawn. And now white go for some kind of endgame, which is a very, very unfavorite. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. White give up the rook. But look at this. Now we go for another chapter when the two rooks are much, much better than the queen in such a type of endgame. First of all, the A pawn is lost because A pawn is lost because rooks will double on the A line and simply take the pawn. And then the plan is, so first is attacking the CA4 pawn, and then the plan is to attack the F2 pawn, let's say on such a way, double the rook on the second rank and take the F2 pawn. And this is quite easily, look at this. Black just go to double the rooks on the A line. Look at this, in 2 moves, the A pawn is lost. Exactly. A pawn is lost and an F pawn is lost. And then we will see the trading and only hope, small hope. And you can see here that if white just waiting here, he will lost easily. Let's say if he just waiting, there is no any hope for him. Let's say if he play such a lines, then it's a, let's say more or less it's a let's say it's a quite simple. This endgame is simple lost. This is a simple lost endgame. Black go with his king, let's say F6, and let's say even with this is a simply winning endgame. Maybe maybe the g5 is the best move here to take the opposition. f5, all is basically all is should be here over. Usually, okay, now some precise move is necessary from both sides, but okay, now this is a winning endgame, by the way. But this is the actually the plan. G4, yes, this is a winning endgame on many ways. So look at this. These two rooks are easily takes the pawn, and only hope. Leko play for only hope here. Now we go to this different part of Leko go for only hope with attacking with h4. And just a moment, please. Okay. He play h4. And go with his queen to h6. And only hope for him was to play h5. Kramnik play rook to a5. And here it's interesting that only chance here is to transform the pawn endgames with two pawns against one, but it's a drawish. Look at this. This was the best way for white to play g5, and this is interesting to remember how to hold position. Look at this. And now, very important is that this pawn endgames is drawish. This was last hope for him, because now if he takes, this is a hope, because now this endgame is a really draw. Let's say king f8, and because of the opposition, endgame is draw. So this was his, let's say, last hope for white to set up here, but Leko don't recognize it. Last setup was to trade and play g5 and pawn on f4, and then protect with the queen, so black cannot improve the position anymore. And when he takes, or even king f8, but then check, and again, even here, the position is drawish, because after check, king must go back, and even here, the position is, again, it's drawish, because after king is e5, this is the problem, and only hope for white to save the position. Very difficult, and only, of course, in the analysis is possible to find such a way. I must tell you that Kramnik, after Leko play queen f4, and now Kramnik play very well g5, and here it's one very strong move. Look at this. Leko hope that with his next h6 move, he create enough contraplay, and that the position will be also quite drawish. Can you tell me, is it possible to play h6 here to protect the pawn and to not allow white pawns to go h6? Bravo, great, 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 great. Yes, that's true. After h6, and become evident that queen, Leko now realized that queen cannot take on a6 because it's a simply but very elegant move. Rook 8 to a6, obvious, I'm agree. But you believe me, in the game, it's not so easy to find. So even for the world champion match, he played h6, and now all is over for white, because after f3, all contraplay is lost. And black now just go and occupy. Look at this, how black going to occupy the f line. Just build up on the f line. That's it. After the attacking, one check, and rook goes to the very nice position on f6, cover the king. attacking the f pawn, and there is no any hope now for, because now the simply plan is, let's say rook goes to f4 and simply take, and that's the reason why this type of endgame is almost always lost. Remember this: two rooks with a, even here, look at this. This endgame is quite lost for white because the a5 pawn never, ever, never will be winning, because two rooks are very efficiently eliminate this. And then when they eliminate, okay, white has some contraplay and he must create contraplay, but I speak about the principle. So when he's, yes, I can agree that when queens, but okay, here it's a one pawns. The one pawns is a wicket. Of course, if white has a pawn on b3, then it's another story with two connected pawns. I agree with you. But here, here we can see that after the eliminate one pawn, and then when black missed his chance, look at this. This is a technical winning position. Just put the rook on f6 and all is over. He just maneuvering, and now that was the moment when it's a check, and rook go to f6. King is perfectly safe, and just transfer the another rook to, look at this, rook f4, rook f6, and all is over. He played queen e5, pawn is full, and then another pawn. He offered trade because the g4 pawn will be lost. The check. Now simply check trading, and these such a pawn endgames are very easily lost for white. Now white resign, but what he can play after king e4, king e6, let's say, I don't know, king e3, and this endgame after f6 also is quite easily lost. Okay. Yes, black cannot. Black. My answer on question and answer is that black cannot play h5, h6. There is no time. Look at this. In this critical position, it was a g5, and after queen f6, there is simply no time for white to play h5, h6, because black was on the move and he played this very strong move, h6 by himself. And this was the whole idea of black, because now white cannot take the pawn because rook a6. This is my answer on question. Okay. Okay, now just to see one more time this endgame and the whole game, actually. One moment, please. Okay, I have some technical issue. I'm sorry, I apologize for the technical issue is here. Okay. Now we are in the game. So look at this. They play the Petrov defense, and how the preparation of the Kramnik was so good that he realized in his home preparation that after, okay, this was the quite known till this, according to theory. And now he find this maneuver with bishop e4, and after bishop e3 was well known, and now white idea was to push the c4 and to push the d5 and with some pressure. But black find this fantastic maneuver, knight a5, to stop the c4 idea of, take, and then look at this. He simply give up the queen for the rook, bishop, and the pawn. And Kramnik actually analyzed this endgame in his preparation, and he knows that it's a nice preparation. And we see that how powerful is the, look at this, even Kramnik analyzed even this move, and he find that c5 give him white stop one pawn, but black pieces are so well coordinated. Please look at this, and with the best pawn on the third rank, look at this. This is what I tell you. It's most important in the games when you have a queen or you play against the queen. The main point, what we see here, is the weakness and unprotected pieces. Look at here. Black is a material down, but his pieces are protected, and also very well is a c3 pawn who is make the situation for white bad. And look at this, how now the bishop b6 is actually a very good move. He transferred the bishop to a5. We saw later, and with the rook d2 he destroyed, of course, first the luft and then rook d6. And look at this, after bishop a5 the rook d2 is coming, and next rook is coming to d2, and white was afraid because rook c2, rook d2, c2. So it's, and also the analytic can find the draw here, but it's only in the when you have the power of computer and the engine then can help you. This is basically very, very difficult to play with white. And give me just an opportunity to briefly show you also one from Croatian league, one example when the Croatian Grandmaster Brkic with black pieces in one of the line of Catalan, what is very frequent on today's standard, show how to give up the queen. So he takes, and well, in this position that looks like white has an initiative, but one more time we see that, let's say, d4 is coming. White play clever bishop e3, but this is not so clever because after takes, and look at this. Again, we saw the problem for white is the coordination of the black pieces. Not take the e4, he played for knight d3, attacking the white queen. And look at this, how the black is coordinated well. Look at this, he take the pawn, and look, the knight is perfectly placed on e5 in front of the isolated pawn. This is a perfect outpost for the knight. And with two bishop, yes, black is better. I agree. Black is better. But look at this. Material is that black has only the rook and the bishop for the queen, even not a pawn. But the problem, even after trade, look at the coordination of the black pieces. We speak about unprotected, and there is no single point. Queen cannot attack anything in black camp. Look at this. For the moment, knight is not protected, but queen doesn't have the opportunity to attack. King cannot go to d7, to d6, never. h3, and this pawn is important also. It's a pawn. And look at this. Black keeps white squeezing. And black is better. Black play for win. He play g6 now. And look at even this. He go with the king in the center. And finally, white somehow attack. But look at this coordination. This is what I tell you, that it's most important when you play against the queen, that everybody must protect everyone. Everybody should be protected. And then the queen is useless. Look at this. After knight d3, trade. And again, we saw the situation when all pieces of black are simply protected. Everyone protect everyone. And it's not surprised that black is winning here. After e5, look at this. The bishop is locked. Black has one pawn, bishop and rook. But what is the worst for queen? There is no single point for attack. The game continues in this way. Now the bishop transfer and start to attack the weakness of the white. Yes, b3 is the weakness. White weakness. Check. And now even the rook. Okay, now they go to the phase of the game when it's a check. But look at this. Of course, king on d7. And how the bishop pairs are strong. They protect again. Everybody protect everyone. The pawns are protect. Look at this. Please look at this picture. Why black is better? Every single piece on the board are protect. Everyone protect everyone. There is no weakness. You see? And it's not surprised that after, let's say, okay, now he can maybe take, but he go for direct mate because the rook and two bishops are very official. And you know, it takes, and okay, they go to the different phase. Now it's a 2 pawns up, and basically the game is now it's quite hopeless for white because it's so many pawns. Look at this, and still everything is good in. Everything is protected white in black camp, and okay, now it's maybe black not play the best moves, but it's very easy, and now the rest is simply not interesting because it was till the end white was precise, and now all is over because check. So we saw even in these quick games, I'm sorry for the quicker, but we saw one more time how the, and what I just want to show you how it's important, the coordination in the pieces, that everybody protect everyone. This is a very nicely in this endgame that, look at this, everybody protect. There is no single weak point in black camp, and then the queen is useless. Okay, can you ask the questions, please?
One second, coach. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Can you stop screen sharing, coach, please?
Yes.
So yeah, I've had a lot of questions. So I was getting a lot of messages from, there's a tournament going on in India. So a student of ours was struggling with Rook Endgames only in the tournament. So any advice on for someone who has been constantly struggling with Rook Endgames?
Well, my advice about the Rook Endgames is to study the games, not only the typical theoretical endgames with, let's say, pawn and the rook and so on, because it's a quite boring and quite it's difficult to memorize it. But let's say, I think the more important is to study the Rook endgames to see the activity, how the good players play for activity, and how they make the active king occupy the 7th rank and so on. So my advice, study the Rook endgames for the good players of the Rook endgames, like Rubinstein, for example.
So you have known each other for like quite some time now, and you come across as a very cool gentleman, a very cool grandmaster, a cool-headed grandmaster. But these days, these kids are under a lot of stress and pressure to perform really well in tournaments. So what is your advice for parents who are, and the kids, regarding their performance? Look, they become very depressed when they are losing one match, and at times a lot of these kids stop playing chess because of this anxiety and performance related issues.
Well, I'm not fully understand.
The question is, what is your advice for parents, in a nutshell, who give a lot of pressure to their kids to perform well over the board?
Okay. No, let's. The chess is very specific, and I'm strongly recommend it for everyone. If you don't have inside, how can I say, if some call inside you that you like to play chess, and if kids don't like to play chess by his heart, it's don't push them. Any parents, anyone, don't play chess. Is so difficult, and it's so challenging that nobody can push you like to go to school or like to go to study. But chess must be, and only way is if you have this talent and call from inside of you. Actually, for any good chess player, never parents push a single step. Believe me, single step. Believe me. Robert Fisher actually.
For parents, let the coach take care of the kid if he's getting coaching from the expert. And if you are facing any problem,
my advice is to speak with the coach to leave any pushing from the kids, because it's not good, simply not good.
Yeah. So no pressure of performance, and I guess we'll see you next week, same time. And for the question which have not been answered, you can write to us at support@nurture.com, and we'll be happy to answer. Keep learning chess, and you guys will improve. That is something I assure you. Keep learning, keep enjoying the game. Thank you, coach. Thank you once again.
You're welcome, and see you next time. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, once someone has asked me a question why I'm wearing sunglasses. So I'm suffering from chronic eye infection right now. So I guess for a few weeks I will be wearing glasses whenever I'm going live. Okay, thanks for asking. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and greetings to everyone. Bye.